What in the world is happening with King County real estate? Let's take a look, because this is historic. I mean, it's not that much radically different than last month, but it is radically different than it's ever been. This is 10 years, supply and demand. Last 10 years in King County, blue is the demand, the number of housing that went off the market any given month. And the green is the demand. Sorry, the green is the supply, the number of homes that got listed during that month. And look at all the way over there to the right, like where we are now. That's a historic low. That's like 50% less available inventory. And demand is down consistent with that. So a couple of things that means, okay? So I just wanted you to get the 10-year perspective. Even, can I go out further than that? Because I want to see if we can, no, that's it. That's as much as we get. So, but even during whatever the real housing crisis, there is less available and less buyers. That's crazy. Now, what does that mean to you? Okay, well, it depends if you're a buyer or a seller, or you're a realtor like me. So let's look at 2 years. Let's just get a little bit, zoom in. Okay, so this is last 2 years. Okay, so a couple things this likely to mean. Now, what things wind up meaning to be determined in hindsight. Couple things. Everything you hear on the news, we should say, is almost always far too general for it to make any significant difference to you. Certainly anything at a national level, anything at a state level, anything less than your neighborhood doesn't impact you, because there are for sure neighborhoods in King County where there's less inventory than demand. You got to go neighborhood by neighborhood. But overall, if you wanted to get a sense of trends, the way things are overall going, this is it. So there's half as much inventory as there was. So if you look at where this is, September of this year, September of last year, here. Okay, so it's about 40% less. 2,700 homes came to market last year, 2,100, so 600 homes less. Okay, so what's that? 10. Yeah, about 30%, 20%. There you go. Less homes. And then the buyers last year at this time, 1,500, 1,400. So almost the same number of buyers in King County overall, with less to choose from. So overall, you'd expect to see multiple offers, bidding wars, things like that. Now, the problem is that 7%, 7.5% interest has capped the ability of buyers to pay. So while you'll get people offering multiple offers, a few people offering, you won't get 10 or 12 like you used to. And excuse me, you won't get them exponentially above asking. You'll get a bunch of offers right at the asking price. And what should your asking price be? Well, it's not going to be the elevated asking price we have been used to in this region. It's going to be a conservative, small increase over last year. There's just no way for the buyers to pay the double-digit increases. Increased interest rate environment has done two things. One, it's done its job. It's capped housing appreciation, which was a big piece of what it was intended to do. The problem with it, though, is that it has limited the number of people selling their homes. So it's limited inventory, because who's leaving a 3% interest rate to get to a 7% interest rate? Only people that have to. It's limited the number of people selling. Eventually, this will sort itself out, because more people are moving to Seattle than moving out, and to King County, maybe not Seattle, but that's why neighborhoods matter. That's why your block matters. That's why you need to speak to, me, about the value of your house based on houses right near you and what are they doing. Overall, you can see that we are in a slow down mode. Price appreciation has slowed way down. Buyers can still find value in houses that were where the seller needs to sell, and you can get yourself some leverage there. You can buy down your interest rate with concessions, and you can get ready, refinance if interest rates drop. Because you need to remember, if interest rates drop, there's going to be a ton of buyers and prices are going to shoot back up. So if you're waiting to buy for interest rates to drop, that's a mistake. There's just no way around it. It's a mistake. Why? Because prices are going to continue to go up. And the moment interest rates make it more affordable for you, they're going to make it more affordable for everyone. And prices are going to jump up higher. Better to get in a house now, take the appreciation that comes with waiting. And the moment interest rates drop, refinance. Far better strategy if you're interested in saving money. If you want to just wait, you should wait. And then listing your house, you got to price it conservatively. You cannot, in your minds, we have a recency bias of what we've heard, and what we've heard is generally confusing. People that come to me either hear the price market's falling apart, which is blatantly not true, or they expect 2 years ago pricing, which is not going to happen either. Okay. What's happening now is not particularly newsworthy. It's sort of boring from a seller's side. Prices are going up at a moderate rate. You should be able to get a little bit more than you got last year, somewhere in the single digits of appreciation, somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you got questions about your situation, your neighborhood, your block, where you're looking, that's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company over at eXp Realty. Party on, Wayne. Hey, what in the world is happening with Kitsap County real estate? Well, it's madness. It's not quite madness, but actually the truth is it's less madness than the surrounding counties. But check out what you're looking at. All right, 10 years of history here. So this goes back to 2013. The blue is the demand, number of homes that went under contract any given month. Green, supply, number of homes that came to market any given month. Supply, demand. There you go. All right, so a couple of things you can see right away is over here on the right-hand side. That's us now. We're below where we were last year, considerably below, peaks. We never got to the peak. I'm sorry, let's just look at the supply. Never got the peak of the previous years. And the demand is down, but it's not down all that much. And our low in Kitsap isn't any lower than the 2013 low. If you watch the King County updates, you can see that it's actually lower. King County is way lower. King County is way off. Kitsap, this is end of 2013 kind of stuff. Okay, doesn't make it particularly better because it's still 10 years, a long time, but it's not never seen this before like it is in some of the other counties. All right, so let's just look more specifically recently. Okay, so that's a pretty clear picture of what's happening. Inventory way down, pretty much the same 2021 to 2022, and 2022 to 2023 is, hey, where are you, shorty? Just never got there. Okay. Demand sort of, it never peaked because inventory never peaked, but demand isn't that way off. So, the number of transactions is down a bit. I mean, in September here is 330 and here 416. So 20%. You're not talking about half of the available inventory, okay, year to year. So what is this going to mean to you? Well, if you're in Kitsap, you should expect, if you're selling a house, to be able to sell it fairly quickly if you price it right. And you've got to price it based on the fact that buyers can no longer afford to pay a premium. Any growth in equity, any growth in the cost of homes is going to have to come just by supply and demand, not because the interest rates are encouraging it. All right, right now, interest rates are discouraging because people who are selling don't sell, who would be selling don't sell. You have a 3% interest if you own your home. You're not going out to buy a 7.5% interest rate home unless you have to. So the only people selling now are people that have to sell. And that tends to keep the prices more reasonable. So if you're considering testing the market, you should know you got a very good chance of getting it sold because there's way more demand than can meet this. There's way more demand than the supply can meet. Okay. Because this gap here is really close. That's as close as we're not seeing demand exceed supply, but we are pretty close. So you should sell it as long as you're not pricing it like it's 2021. You got to price it like it's today. Okay. Meaning a small increase over last year's value, something like that. And you can get away with it. You can definitely get that home sold. And if you're buying, a couple of things about buying. I meet a lot of people that are waiting for interest rates to come down. That's such a bad strategy. I don't even know what to tell you. Why? Because it's just not thought through. I mean, what happens when interest rates come down? Everyone's going to want to buy. And what happens when there's more demand? Oh, prices go up. Yeah, that's crazy. No, you got a situation now where you could find 1, 2, 3 sellers that think it's 2021 who have been to the fact that they're not going to get sold. And if they're selling, they probably have to, because why else would you sell in this environment? So you can get some concessions. Get the concessions, buy the house. Sit there, take the equity growth that comes, the 6%, 5% that comes. Still, it's 5% more than renting. And then when the interest rates drop, if the interest rates drop, which is no guarantee, you can refi. And if interest rates keep going up, you're in better shape by hanging on. Nothing to lose by buying, everything to lose by waiting. So if you're buying, let's get together and go neighbor by neighbor and see where we can find you a deal. Again, any questions you have about your situation, because every situation is unique, give me a call. I'm Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company at eXp Realty. Make sure you subscribe to this, share it, like it, and that's it. All right, talk to you later. Party on, Wayne. Hey, what in the world is happening with Pierce County real estate? Well, let's look at this, okay? This is your supply and demand graph for the last 10 years. History. That's right. So blue is the demand. Blue is the number of homes that were sold when under contract any given month. And the green is the supply, the number of homes that came to market that month. So a couple things, especially if you've watched the King County update, you can see this is similar but not exactly the same, which is why I always say you've got to measure your neighborhood before you have a sense of what's happening in real estate. What's happening nationally makes no difference. Do you really care that there aren't enough housing starts in Las Vegas? Do you think that has any impact on your life? It doesn't, just to be clear. It does not. What's happening in Sacramento, what's happening in Phoenix, in New York, that's not going to impact the way you sell your house, okay? So you got to, for so many reasons, you got to stop watching the news. But besides that, for housing, you should just pay attention to what's happening in your neighborhood. So this is even too high of a level to talk about your neighborhood, but it's good from a trend setting in your area. Because what does happen in King County does affect Pierce County. So what you see here is the demand is, unlike King County, is not at a historic low. I mean, it's lower. It is technically a historic low, but it's not radically different than it was at the end of the last downturn. It's a little bit lower, but the inventory itself, the number of houses, is ridiculously low. That was the peak of the year. We're going to, it'd be shocking if we didn't beat this at the end of the year. It'd be shocking if we didn't get below this number. And that was the lowest number by far of transactions. So let's look more closely at what you're dealing with. Let's look at the last 2 years, let's say. Okay, so here's a little sense. You could see things sort of normalized out of the pandemic with inventory until what? Until interest rates spiked at the beginning of the year. And it's made it virtually impossible for someone to sell their house. Why? Because who's going from a 3% interest to a 7% interest? Anyone who's going to be a move up buyer, as it's known in the business, meaning I'm going from my first home to my second home, isn't going to do it in this interest rate environment. Why? You're going to double your payments for the same house. So it's rare. It's cut off the number of sellers. And buyers have been constrained because they can no longer afford a monthly payment consistent with what they could have in a 3% environment. So it's the increase in interest rates has done its job in terms of capping appreciation, which for sure needed to happen in this area. You just could not continue to go out and see double-digit growth in home equity forever and expect that to be sustainable. Right now, people are rooting for a housing crash. I don't see what makes it crash. First of all, don't root for a crash. Okay, that's people's lives. But predicting a crash, what's the mechanism? How is the supply and demand going to shift? That's the only way to do it. And right here, you can see the demand is pretty close to the supply, better than it was last year, and certainly the same, or if not better than it was the year before in Pierce County. Meaning, while the overall number is down, the actual competition for any individual house is about the same. So what does that mean for you? Well, like I said, you got to check your neighborhood to really get an idea of what's happening. But in general, what's happening is if you're selling your house, you need to price it reasonable. You can get more than you sold. You can get more than you bought it for, likely, depending on when you bought it. But it's unlikely that you're getting multiples over asking. You'll probably get one or two offers around, but if you priced it well. If you don't price it well, you're not getting any offers because people cannot and will not pay that kind of interest rate on an overpriced listing. They just won't. If you're buying, you want to find someone like that. You want to find someone who overpriced it, who not somehow needs to sell. Because really, anyone selling in this environment really does sort of need to sell, because otherwise, why would you do it? So you're not going to get, if you're a buyer, you find one of those people, you can leverage their overpricing into concessions, which you can use to pay down your interest. Here's the one thing to do if you're a buyer, is not to wait. If you're waiting for interest rates to drop before you buy, well, that's a problem, because as soon as interest rates drop, all the buyers come back. Not just you, all the buyers come back. And what happens when there's more buyers? Oh, prices go up. So your best bet is to find someone who overpriced it, needs to sell. Not that hard to do. Find someone who's overpriced it, needs to sell, get some concessions, sit tight, wait for the interest rates to drop, refinance, and laugh at all the people that didn't gain the equity that you did over that previous 12 months that had still been paying rent. Don't wait. You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait. I know it's cheesy, but it's true. All right. That's your Pierce County forecast for October 2023. If you got questions about that or things you want to know, things you want to work out, call me, email me, text me, smoke signals. Aaron Hendon with Christine & Company EXP. Make sure you subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. All right. No, don't smash it. Just click it. All right. Party on me. Hey, Snohomish County lovers. Here we go. What in the world's happening with your real estate? Let us check it out. All right. So you can see what you're looking at is 10 years of supply and demand. Blue, the demand. Number of homes that were under contract any given month. And supply, the number of homes that went to market any given month. What do you see? What do you see, people? Well, look all the way over to the right where we are. What? That's so many less homes. I mean, that's just like crazy. This year, we just got 892. Biggest month was 890, 1,400 in last year. We almost always get up to that number. Okay, this year was just dismal in terms of available inventory. That is ready, my favorite word, precipitous drop in available inventory with a corresponding drop in demand, because, hello, if there's not a lot to buy, there's not going to be a lot of buyers. And the interest rate environment has, in fact, limited the number of buyers. So it's not only capping prices, it's capping the number of people willing to sell, because who's going from a 3% to a 7% interest rate unless they have to? And the answer to that is nobody. And that's what you see on that graph, is nobody selling. Okay. But it's at the same time, what it is important to note, it's even less than after the housing crash that started to turn around in 2012. This is less than that, which is not the case in Pierce County. It's not the case in Kitsap. This is much more similar to King County's update. If we get more specific, closer timeline to you, to us, to me, let's look at 2 years. Here's 2 years of data. You can see the inventory right off the cliff. Okay, so big deal. And the buyers pretty much to match. So what does that mean? What do you do? All right, well, if you're selling, you should be able to get it sold. You can sell it, at a 3, 4, 5% price increase over last year, something like that, depending on neighborhood. Be pretty predictable. There's just not a lot of competition, and we are getting more people to move in the area. What's holding buyers back is the number of houses they have to choose from and the amount that it costs them to get money. So you're not going to get multiple offers over asking. You'll get 1 or 2 offers, but they're not going to be much over asking, predictably. Okay. If you're buying, you want to find someone who priced it that can give you some concessions. And you can, because there are. Okay. There's not as many as there were when I first started talking about this over the summer. But waiting is a terrible strategy. Why? Because if you're waiting for interest rates to come down, think about it. If they come down, what happens? More buyers come. More buyers means More demand, same supply. What happens? Prices go up. Not a great strategy. Just not a great strategy. Better off finding someone where you can get concessions. Take it. And there is no guarantee that interest rates come down. I don't, who knows, right? So they could go up. They really could go up. I mean, 7% is not unprecedented interest rates. It's just not. Not maybe what you're used to, but it's certainly not unprecedented. So you could easily see it more, hikes without it being historic. But there you go. If you're going to buy, I would recommend you do it now and take advantage of any equity increase because, the area itself, our region is super strong economically and attractive for buyers. Still more people moving in than moving out, especially in places like Snohomish, Kitsap, Pierce, outside of the city. If you have questions about your specific situation, though, that's what I'm here for. Okay. Call me, message me, whatever. Aaron Hendon with Christine & Company, eXp Realty. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this and please share it. And I'll talk to you next month. Party on. What is happening in Vashon Island? Let's check out. What's happening in Vashon real estate today? This is your monthly update. What you're looking at is 10 years of data on Vashon. The blue is the demand. That's the number of homes that went off the market any given month. And the green is the number of listings that happened any given month. So a couple of things, especially if you've watched Kitsap, the surrounding counties, this is a radically different graph. Okay. Not just, obviously there's less activity. It's a smaller area. And it's more jaggedy. I don't know how data scientists talk about it, but there's just less data. So every little change makes a bigger difference. But overall, the thing that's the same, that's different than the other counties is, first of all, we're not down inventory from last year in any major way. We're just not. We're not down off anything since the beginning of since prior to the pandemic. Since the pandemic, inventory has been about the same, little less right now, but about the same, which is radically different than any other county. Okay. Every other county has a precipitous drop in inventory. Okay. And the demand is down. There's less buyers and there's more available inventory than there has ever been. Not ever, but if you look at the graph, look at all that green space. In fact, let's get it a little bit more specific to today and you'll see what I mean. All right, so something funny happened in September. Okay, it hasn't happened in a long time. We had more buyers than we had listings. That hasn't happened in a really long time. So a bunch of things went off the market last month. 22 homes went under contract last month. There just haven't even been 22 homes in a long time, right? But right now on Vashon, there are definitely more homes available than there have been in the last 5 years. Because look, inventory has been pretty steady and buyers have been down over the summer. So all these people here came up here. This is where small data sets create a problem. But if you look overall at the end of the year, I think what you're going to wind up seeing is something where there has been more available homes on this island every month than there have been in the past. Let's see if I go back just 4 years, if you can see it that way. Yeah, better. See all that available green? And then at the end of the thing here, it just spikes right up. Like people started sucking up that inventory. We saw a lot of price reductions, things like that on the island. And I would expect inventory to continue to drop toward the end of the year because that's what it does every year. And buyers don't drop that much. Buyers drop along with inventory, but not below. You should be able to get your home sold on Vashon towards the end of this year, just given there's just not a lot for people to choose from. So if you got questions, because really every area on Vashon is different and you can't overprice it and expect to get a ton of offers anymore. It's just not happening, but you should be able to price it well and get it sold. And if you're buying, this is an ideal time to buy on Vashon because there are people whose houses have been sitting on the market who are getting anxious where you could negotiate concessions. And if you're thinking you're going to wait until the interest rates drop, that's a mistake. Red alert. Why? Because everyone is going to come back flooding in the market when interest rates drop and drive prices right back up. Your best bet is to get a negotiated concession now, pay down some interest with prepaids, get into a house, sit pretty, come meet me at the Ruby Brink for a drink. Excuse me. That's your Vashon update for this month. If you got questions about your situation or what you want to be doing out here, give me a call. Let me know. Aaron Hendon with Christine and Company at eXp Realty. Make sure you like this, share it, and subscribe. Talk to you next month. Party on, Wayne.